second year we're doing this, and we're going to jump into this presentation on autism and role-playing games. Don't feel pressured to look at me, because I walk around a lot, especially if I stand too close here, I'm peering into people's souls. I'm not trying to do that. So I will be back and forth, walking around for a little bit. Okay, first couple questions. Raise your hand if you like tabletop RPGs. Things like D&D, Pathfinder, or a plethora of other things. Okay. What about some sort of RPG like on a console? You raise yours first. What's your favorite?
Can I list my top three?
Sure.
Final Fantasy VII,
Okay.
Earthbound,
Okay.
and Secret of Mana.
Okay. I don't think
Chrono Trigger is also an honorable mention.
Which one?
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. I like Chrono Trigger. I want to talk a little bit about what makes those games useful in our lives. And we've got a bunch of different topics to go through. So we're going to talk a little bit about tabletop RPGs, about video games, a little bit about robots. That's always my favorite. Vines, if anybody's watched Vines. We've got a bunch of different things going on today. And I'm pretty interactive, so feel free to talk. You don't have to be super quiet. If I call on you and you don't want to, that's totally fine. I just have a habit as a teacher of like, you've been quiet for a while, you've been quiet for a while. So don't feel any pressure. What I'm hoping to kind of help you guys get out of this is to connect something we all understand and love to real life. I know that everybody has some sort of goal, whether that's a short-term goal or a long-term goal. We all have goals, and so I want to help, maybe help you accomplish those goals, help understand yourself better. That's going to be a key part of this as we get into it, and then help to get your needs met. But the second point, you kind of got to know what your needs are before you can get your needs met. My biggest goals here is I want everybody to see life as an RPG. We're very comfortable when we're playing role-playing games, or we're playing video games, or engaging in some of our interests. We're really comfortable then. And I want to take aspects out of that and apply that to real life so that we can be more comfortable in real life as well. So interact with the world like it's an RPG. Have a character sheet of yourself that you can use to help level up. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then to personalize the character sheet and make it well-rounded. What stat is most important for rogues?
Dexterity.
Dexterity.
Dexterity. What stat is most important for fighters?
Usually strength.
Strength. Okay, so
Dexterity, depending on.
if you're optimizing that build and trying to make it super, maybe OP or just really powerful, you're going to focus on just that one area. And with autism, I think we naturally do that. But in the world that we live in, we can't just play a rogue. We can't just play a fighter, or a wizard, or a gunslinger. What was my last one? Alchemist, gunslinger, I think was my last one. And that's great, but we have to be a little bit more well-rounded in life. We have to hit a few more stats than what we normally would. So let's talk about robots. Okay? So raise your hand if you've ever seen like any kind of video about robot AI or something trying to look as human-like as possible.
Wasn't there a movie?
Huh?
Ex Machina or something like that?
Yeah. That's a whole movie about that. Do these real-life ones do a good job of looking like a human?
No.
No?
Depends on how much of an actor they use.
Okay. So let's watch this real fast, and I want you to think in your mind, what is uncomfortable about this robot? What seems human-like, and what seems not human-like?
Thank you for coming. This is beautiful. I wanted to meet you for a really, really long time. And being here with you in the Cayman Islands, I gotta say, is I'm feeling a little something. Yeah. We can grab it later if you want.
Hello, Smith.
It's nice to meet you, Sophia. Let me tell you a joke.
This is an irrational human behavior to want to tell jokes.
What is a robot's favorite kind of music?
What?
Heavy metal.
I'm actually made mostly of silicone, plastics, and carbon fiber. Also, I prefer electronic music, but I don't mind 80s hip-hop.
But, you know, I made some albums back in the 80s hip
I've
hop.
heard your songs. Not for me. You show us iRobot just to make sure we don't get any ideas. What do you think about the way robots are portrayed in movies?
I like robots. Sophia, can I be honest with you? I don't know if it's the island air, you know, or the humidity, or you're just so easy to talk to. You got a clear head, literally.
I think we can be friends. Let's hang out and get to know each other for a little while. You're on my friends list now.
Yeah, right there, bro. All right. Oh, well, you saw a whale. Does your head fog up in this kind of weather or no?
Okay, we've got two different personalities. We've got Sophia the robot, we've got Will Smith. What things about Sophia were not human-like? Yeah.
The lips were, whenever they moved, it was too rigid, and also she didn't close her mouth during some syllables, so it just looked weird.
Okay, so even just the words she's saying are kind of awkward. Yeah.
I feel like that when Will Smith actually was getting to know Sophia, she was like Will Smith didn't feel like that. Oh, why are you not taking the glass of wine that I'm getting you? And she says, why are you staring into my eyes? And I don't think Will Smith knows that she is a real person. He thinks that his mind is like, oh, she is a real person in my books, and it's like, no, she's not. So,
Okay.
so that's where I was like, oh, that's where a little awkward came in.
So things like reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
He did something. He's kind of expecting a return.
Mm-hmm.
She did not give that to him. In fact, there was a lot of times when it was like dead silence, and she was just like staring at it. Like if you had a conversation with somebody, and I just stopped and stared at you, isn't that kind of unsettling? Yeah.
For me, she was incapable of reading the emotion in the room. She had she was very passive, very non-committal to what was going on. She couldn't read what was going on. She couldn't take in visual cues or social cues.
Right. She can only respond to very obvious concrete things. He said this, I will say this. He
Yes,
said
her
this.
AI seemed very, very minimal at best.
Yeah. Yeah, so we kind of expect that ability to oh shoot, I just forgot the word for it, sorry. Yeah, you guys, do we have enough seats for everybody?
I like standing.
You like standing?
Same
Okay.
here.
We have a few seats. Also, if you guys need to, do a couple more sessions of this later, so you can come back if you don't like standing after a while. I saw another hand raised, sorry. Yeah.
Just when he's like, I'm going to tell you a joke, and she's like, well, that's just an illogical response. And it's like, no, it's not illogical. It's you're getting to know each other. You're having, it's And who wouldn't want to hear a joke from Will Smith? I'm
Right.
sorry.
Right.
So I want to tell a joke.
Clearly she's a robot because everybody wants to hear a joke.
I mean, but I mean, humor is like one of the hardest things to translate from any language.
Right.
Because if somebody were speaking Spanish and told me a joke in Spanish, even if I were, I know some Spanish, then I might not even get it all.
Right.
I just,
Yeah, I used to speak Mongolian and they say a lot of stuff like, what was the one? Where it's like, something is, there's some joke about being like white as milk or something like that. And I remember just hearing that, I'm like, oh yeah, those are the words. I had no idea what it meant. There was some cultural understanding behind that. I had no idea.
People, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So we can tell pretty easily when something is not responding socially the way we think. It's pretty easy for us to be able to say, oh yeah, that robot is making me feel a little awkward for these reasons, these social cues. But do we know if we're doing those things to other people? Are we self-aware enough to know, am I rigid like a robot? What is my tone of voice? Am I not making any eye contact? Or awkward long pauses? Are we doing that in the moment? Maybe, no, come back to that. What things about Sofia are working like? Yeah,
To me, it was just appearance alone.
okay.
Even then, it wasn't fully with her appearance because of her cerebral glass little casing.
The one that fogs up in the
programming
weather.
it. Yeah, and she looked only vaguely human-like. She did have expressions, per se, but they weren't, like, appropriate to the situation.
Or they were delayed.
Yes.
A lot of the time he'll say something, silence, then she'll smile and try to like jump in on that. Yeah.
I actually like the part where she was like, where Will Smith was going in to kiss her, and she was like, automatically knows, I said, let's be friends first before we date. And like, that was pretty cool of her to do that, is because Will Smith had no idea what was going on.
Right. So that's kind of an actual cool like human intention where she recognized kind of what he was trying to do and trying to stop it. It kind of made a pretty good joke out of it, I think.
Yeah.
So we've got a little bit of humanity in Sofia. We've got a lot of not humanity in Sofia. So let's get serious for just a moment. Most of the world thinks people with autism don't feel emotion.
So false.
Is that true?
No.
No.
Not at all.
That's insane. Most of the world thinks we don't care about other people's feelings.
That's
We do.
empathetic person. The most upset person I know, right here. Hey!
Yeah, sorry, she called you out. I kind of feel that same way. I have a hyper empathy response in a lot of situations where things that seem kind of normal will be extremely sad to me or extremely happy to me. Do we ever try to hurt people on purpose?
No.
No.
Goodness, no.
No, right? So it's not that we don't care about other people's feelings. We just might not be responding. We might be responding more like a robot, accidentally. Most of the world thinks we only think about ourselves.
That's not true. Not true
No,
at
what?
all.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure too. I like to think about myself. I focus on myself a lot because
Same.
that's the thing that I can control.
I
But
think all people like to think about themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, how many truly altruistic people are out there that are just,
Right.
maybe Mother Teresa.
no, I mean she's
It's
still
a very short list.
nourish herself first to be able to help other
Very
people.
nice.
So it's, I mean, it's, we have to all think about ourselves, maybe, but the world likes to think it's in an extreme degree. Like, no one else exists in my world, it's just me. Not true. Most of the world thinks we can't recognize emotions. Is that true? I just watched all of you guys like laugh or flinch or give like weird looks when we were watching that robot video. It was pretty obvious to us what Will Smith was saying and doing and social cues and what Sofia the robot was doing or not doing. It's extremely easy for us to recognize those things in other people. So when the world thinks, oh, you don't recognize it at all. No, we might struggle to show it, but we definitely can recognize it. Most of the world thinks we need to change permanently.
Heck no. Change is constant, even with people without autism. We are always learning and always growing. It is not something that anyone does. We don't change permanently. No human does.
Right. Raise your hand if you've ever been told, like, you gotta stop acting this way and start acting in a different way. Okay? Raise your hand if you had, like, a behavior you used to do and people were like, no, you need to stop doing that, that's not okay. A lot of us grow up with these types of situations where people are telling us, who you are needs to be different. The things you do need to be different.
Isn't that what the Lord tells us all the time, look at it?
What's that? The who? The
Isn't that
what?
what the Lord tells us even
The
in the
role?
movement all the time? I mean, look at social media, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. But do we need to listen to that?
No.
No. Do we have anything about ourselves that is useful or inherent in us, just the way we are?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Tell me real fast, can you recognize that emotion?
It's happy.
Happy?
Yeah.
Stress.
Okay, frustrated or stressed?
Sleeping.
Overwhelmed.
Well, it's hard to tell without her expression, but I do feel that is very stressful.
I feel like she's overwhelmed.
Yeah, so,
She might be here.
right, yeah, she might just be sleeping. She's camera shy, she doesn't want to actually take a picture. Oh, this one,
She is very content.
very content.
Relax.
Peaceful, relaxed, happy.
Enjoying the moment.
I feel good about myself.
Stress.
Trouble.
Trouble, yes. Sad, his girlfriend dumped him.
Okay.
Happy.
She's excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for us to recognize that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's super easy. The difficulty comes here in this box when we get to it. We spend a lot of time growing up, even as children, learning what others will do. If I cry, my mom will come pick me up. Or if I make a scene, we'll stop doing these things. If I yell, the person will be angry. If I come up and give you something, the person will be happy. Spend a lot of time as kids, even as teenagers and adults, learning and understanding what others will do if we do something. Then, as we grow older, we start to go to classes. Maybe social skills classes. Anybody been in one of those before? I have. That's where we learn what I should do. Those are the social conventions, like making eye contact and how to make or keep a friend. Those are the things we start to learn because for us, that might not be so inherent. Okay, not bad. Then we have, okay, I know what I should do, and I'm going to do that in this moment. And you act that way, and that's what you thought you did. You thought, oh, I'm going to go up to this person and say, show interest in them, and they're going to say, oh wow, this person really wants to be my friend. And then I go up and I'm just like, yeah, like purple shirts. In my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I walked up to him, I related, like, oh look, he's got a purple shirt, that's cool, I like that. But the disconnect, did I look like I was doing that? No. What I actually did was very different on the outside than what I thought I did. And this is the trouble. This is where I think a lot of autistic people get stuck. We don't realize how robotic we might be coming across. We don't realize how stiff or awkward or uncomfortable we are and how we're making other people feel that way. How did that change on its own? Looking back at the keyboard, you might have pressed the keyboard. No worries. Okay. So, we need to be careful that our social interactions don't look like Sofia the robot. Would we all agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Unless we're trying to play a part of being a robot, we probably don't want to look like a robot. Yeah.
Question, have you personally had issues with social interaction?
Oh yes. Oh yes. In fact, that's my whole life, is that. One thing I'll kind of divulge, I guess. Right now, what you see me, how I'm acting, how I'm trying to change my voice intonation, walk around, be engaging, be funny, those are all things that I've had to teach myself and practice over and over and over. And I can do it for maybe 2 hours at a time before my mental energy is gone. I don't look like this around my friends or my family or at home or in public. In fact, I have noise canceling headphones on all the time, and I don't make eye contact with anybody. I don't talk to anybody. I've written a couple of scripts to help me in certain situations, and that's kind of what we'll talk about. But the idea is we don't want to look like this robot sometimes. Okay, why should we try not to look like robots? Yeah.
Why we shouldn't look like robots, because we're human, and as humans I feel we have the right to feel and show emotions. We have emotions and feelings and the right to express them, I suppose, but...
Yeah, and we have the right for other people to engage with us in those expressions and emotions. Absolutely, yeah.
I feel like that preaching at like robots is because, you know, there's like people out there that are not on the spectrum, and like they basically, you know, for example, public. So if we're going public and like if we see people acting like little kids, for example, like having like meltdowns, like tantrums or anything like that, they go like, oh, why is he acting like that? Because, you know,
it scares people.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes them wonder, should I be uncomfortable? Should I not trust this person? When I have panic attacks, I go nonverbal, so I literally cannot speak. Like I can try to force myself as much as I can, but my brain's like, that's not the process that you need to do right now. And so I could be in public and not be able to talk at all, and I don't know sign language. And so it's a struggle to look non-threatening in a public area situation, something like that. So we want to try to avoid that, because the world is populated with Will Smiths. It's kind of just how it is. He was really good at being social and telling jokes and saying something and kind of expecting that response back. That's what the world is populated with. We'll call them NTs, neurotypicals. Raise your hand if you've ever heard that word before. Comes up a lot. All it means is somebody who kind of fits the norm, the average of how people think. Everyone's different, everyone thinks differently, everyone's on a spectrum, but there are some facets of personality that are general to a lot of people. And so that's who we can label neurotypicals, or for me, simplified, people who aren't autistic. Neurotypicals outnumber us 59 to 1. Okay?
Yikes.
Which isn't bad, that's fine, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter that we're the minority. I'm not saying we need to be afraid of the 59 or like submit to the majority's will in everything, by no means. But as the majority, they do make the social rules. And a lot of these things aren't even like on purpose. It just kind of happens naturally. And we grow up and we see that in other people and we copy that. And as an adult, soon we find ourselves, or I guess not autistic people, but non-autistic people, find themselves copying other people's emotions and just fitting in naturally. And that's fine. It's not a terrible thing to have that. Sometimes, though, we have to play by those rules. And I emphasize sometimes. That's going to be really important. Not continually, just sometimes. Let's watch this beautiful video. It's so good.
I read social significance into absolutely everything.
I demand that others engage in uninteresting, unimportant small talk.
Eye contact is so good. It's unsettling.
Sound familiar? You or a loved one may be struggling with NTS, neurotypical syndrome. Neurotypical syndrome affects roughly 58 out of 59 children. Neurotypical syndrome is incurable, pervasive, and may be apparent in infants as young as 3 months old. Additional symptoms include failing to recognize when sensory stimuli are too high or too low, engaging in excessive touch, eye contact, smell, and sound levels, and expecting non-neurotypicals to do the same. They adhere to apparently inflexible, non-functional routines or rituals, such as wearing a tie, high heels, or other uncomfortable clothing.
I heard straight from the horse's mouth that you should let sleeping dogs lie, but instead, I ended up putting my foot in my mouth by using idioms that literally make no sense.
If you know someone with NTS, don't give up. There is hope. Despite their challenges, with early intervention, many NTs have learned to compensate for their disability and to interact normally with an autistic person or specialized interest.
I have NTS.
I have NTS,
I have NTS,
and I'm okay.
and I'm okay.
And I'm not playing with a further.
This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Institute for the Study of the Neurologically Typical.
It's just amazing. It's just amazing. In fact, the person who put that together is in the corner of the room. So we can all give a round of applause. He likes the attention. It's fine.
Yeah, thanks. Just hiding in the corner.
Hi.
Isn't it funny when we switch perspective a little bit and look at it that way? We have our own culture as people with autism, as autistic people, either way. And we can get along with other autistic people pretty easily. And I heard a quote from somebody who said, autistic people have, wait for it, I almost have the word, it's almost there, I can't remember. Okay. It was class resistance, it's not resistance, I'm missing that second word, to narcissistic injury. The idea being, we talk with like facts and sharing things based off of how we see facts in the world, rather than how we see things emotionally, or making sure that we're, tweaking our words differently. Like, oh yeah, you look so beautiful today. When in fact, maybe they don't, and you know that they don't. Where did my mouse go? Oh, mouse. That was not correct. Hang on, let me grab the keyboard.
I rate social significance into that.
That is also
Can you find that video on YouTube? You guys have it uploaded?
Yep.
That's freaking fantastic.
I'll be sharing it.
This is amazing. The easiest way to play by all the rules that kind of exist in the world around us is to act a certain way for the shortest time possible. Okay? That's the big difference. I'm not asking you to change or be different or to pretend that parts of you don't exist. I'm saying if you have a goal that you need to meet, and there's a social obstacle in your way, for the shortest time possible, act just the way that you need to be successful in that goal. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we move forward. So yeah, am I asking you to change who you are?
No.
No. Because I think we've heard that crap enough in our lives. We've heard that enough from people saying, you just can't be you. You just gotta change. Why aren't you different? Why can't you be this way? Why can't you work full time or live on your own? You just need to be different. No, that's just stupid. That's crap.
Yeah.
You are amazing. You are beautiful. You are unique. I know you might think, I don't want to be unique. Why not? That's amazing. It's awesome. That is what brings
We're all different.
things, exactly, everyone's different, and your existence makes this world a better place. It's hard to feel that sometimes, especially when we're not the majority, when we are the minority. But I think that's what makes us even more useful to the rest of the world. You deserve to be you. You deserve to have friends who like you for who you are, who are interested in the same things, who accept you the way you are. Does that mean you get to be like a mean and angry robot all the time?
No.
No. But maybe just for a short time, we can act in a different way to express the same things that we feel on the inside outwardly in a way that other people who are not autistic can understand a little better.
Yeah.
So what am I asking? Asking for a self-awareness, and like I was saying, bite-sized acting. Just short, simple times that we're going to be acting. Self-awareness is simply knowing what you look like. There's also an emotional component to self-awareness, and that's knowing what you're feeling. But for what I'm talking about, I just want to know, what do we look like? We looked at the robot, and we're like, oh yeah, we can tell all the things about her that seem weird. Now we need to turn that and look at ourselves. What are all the things that we're doing that we didn't even know, we thought we're doing fine, that we actually weren't? How many times do we get stuck right here?
A lot.
Yeah.
Fairly often.
I'm sick of it.
I get stuck there all the time. So now, what do we do about it? That's what we'll talk about. How do I know what I look like? It's impossible. Any ideas? How can we learn what we look like?
A mirror.
A mirror?
Videotaping yourself.
Videotaping yourself?
We talk to others and ask their opinion.
Okay, get feedback.
I would get feedback from a trusted friend or someone.
Yeah,
from not just,
Precisely.
yeah, and not just someone who's
worthy.
Did I do that wrong?
It's true. Also, though, weirdly enough, I think you could also make the counter argument, and I'm going to quote Parks and Rec if anybody's seen that. It's my favorite show. There's a part where they're like having a presentation with somebody, and the lady stands up and she's like, "You can trust what I'm saying because I don't care enough about you to lie to you." And that seems weird, but that's kind of a neurotypical perspective. We want to, does this dress make me look fat? No. The answer is always no. Somebody asks you that. Unless they're autistic, then it's like, yeah, that's like adding 15 pounds. If that's what you're going for, great. If not, maybe try a different dress. So yeah, I agree. Copy someone else, and then watch yourself. Whether it's in a mirror, making a video of yourself. I do a lot of music recording, so luckily, I'm like, well, I guess unluckily probably, I'm used to hearing my own singing voice. And so at this point, it sounds normal to me.
Same.
Yeah. But if you haven't, if you've heard yourself recorded for the first time, it sounds weird. And for me, I just recently heard a audio recording of myself, like on a radio show. And I'm like, is that really how I sound? It's like, is that like...
That's how I feel every time, especially when I'm on stage singing, when they record me singing, I'm like, that's how I sound like?
Yeah,
because
it's so weird, because we don't know that in ourselves.
I told my professor this back in college when I was studying music, on the singing lesson. He says other people hear your voice than what you hear. So it's very different.
Yeah, it's very different. And so that's why it becomes extra important to understand how are we coming across to other people. And if it's okay, if what you're doing is fine, perfect, don't change, keep it. Keep exactly the same. But if you look at yourself and you're like, oh no, that's not what I was going for, then maybe tweak that a little bit in certain situations. We'll talk a little bit more moving forward. Mirrors are evil.
Oh.
They are. I'm going to tell you a story.
Bloody Mary.
So,
Are they?
well, and they could be demonically evil as well. They're evil because they show, probably, definitely. Yeah, I should have put that. Dang it. Mirrors are chaotic evil. I love it. They show you what you look like. I have a story where, I'm trying to think. So, I was talking to my roommate, and the apartment was set up like to have like a skinny hallway here. And it was like the bathroom and like a shared bathroom sink with 2 people and a mirror. And it was just kind of an open plan because it was part of student housing. So I'm standing in the hallway of this, looking directly at the mirror, at the big bathroom mirror. My friend's talking to me about the new MacBook that he bought. I love computers, it's amazing. So when he's like, hey, this is a feature that it has and let me show you, my response genuinely was, I want you to watch my face, oh wow, that's awesome. Okay, did my face show anything? No. Right? I didn't know that. For 25 years, I had no idea that when I went like this, it was nothing. I thought my eyebrows were making like this, really like, oh wow, that's awesome, I'm actually excited. I can feel them, I know they were raising. But I was standing in front of the mirror when I said it, and I realized my face was just nothing. It showed nothing. And when you put no facial expression with a statement like, wow, that sounds awesome, it sounds sarcastic. It suddenly went from being genuinely positive to extremely negative. And like in that moment, I forgot about the computer, and I'm like, my whole life, I have been doing this to people. I thought I had facial expressions. I thought I knew what I looked like. They probably think that I'm an evil, awful person who doesn't care, is sarcastic all the time. It was a horrible realization, but also an extremely good one. Because that's when I realized, oh crap, I don't look like what I thought I looked like.
Perhaps mirrors are in fact chaotic neutral. Because they understand. Mirrors are, of course, objects. They don't care about your feelings, your...
True, they're not there's no intentions with them.
Yeah, they're not inherently evil or good. So...
I disagree.
Maybe the mirrors have gained sentience.
Still not gonna break.
If the mirrors gain sentience,
I'm like the Warforged.
Yeah, but then life is over. Like at that point, if I see myself all the time with like mirrors walking around showing me what I look like, I'm out. I'm done.
Nope. So much nope.
So what I learned, and that was when I was 25 and 27 now, so I've been able to work on some things. But also in my life throughout the way, as a teenager, I got bullied a lot. Especially middle school.
Yeah.
And
Middle
for me,
school's where it was worse.
Elementary was...
I got middle school
Yeah.
and the end of elementary school, and people were like, Josh, you're so weird. Josh, you're just dumb. Josh, we're not going to talk to you anymore. We don't care. We don't want to be your friend anymore. And so I was like sitting there thinking, I'm weird. I'm different. What am I going to do? I'm going to pretend to be somebody else, and I'm going to get all of these people to like me. And I did that by copying the expressions of, for me, a funny comedian. I have a bunch of comedians that I like to watch and listen to, and I copy their delivery. I copy how they say things, their intonation. Even there's a one where the guy's like, he's like jumping around, he's like, in L.A., and he's like freaking out. It was really good. I did it terribly, so don't judge me on that. It was a really good way of conveying this really epic moment in his stand-up show, and it was hilarious. So, if you're looking in a mirror or recording yourself, you, one, learn what you look like, but two, more important thing is you need to actively copy something on purpose. So it could be your favorite actor, a funny comedian, a relatable character. Raise your hand if you know who Andy Dwyer is. From Parks and Rec, Chris Pratt. He's amazing. He is so funny and goofy and endearing.
Chris Pratt in general.
Yeah, Chris Pratt in general. And I copy him quite a bit in different scenarios that I need to. Copying great videos, copying inspiring leaders. When I went on, when I went on my mission, I had to do like my farewell talk. And like natural me would be like, yeah, so you guys, like, you should like do these things, and it'll be great, and I'm really excited, and yeah, that's cool. That would probably be like my whole talk if it was just natural me. But I watched enough General Conference and other leaders to know who to copy, and I just copied the way they said things and the way they delivered. I even like did like this fist pound on the podium at a certain point because I saw somebody did that, and people afterwards were like, Josh, you sounded like a general authority talking. And I'm like, I know, I copied all of them. It's extremely useful in certain situations. Can I keep that up the whole time? Can I always talk like that? No. No, and if, even for anybody who is not LDS, like if you've ever seen an inspiring talk, they copy the exact same things. I can't maintain that. I only needed it for that 20-minute talk. And then I went back into being me. I only need to act like this right now for an hour and 15 minutes, and then I can go back to being me. Okay, let's copy some things. If we had more time, what I'd like to do, what I would have been able to do is have you guys like record yourselves and then watch what you look like. Something that I've done before. It's a little hard and it's pretty uncomfortable to do that, especially with a larger group, so we won't. But in this case, let's watch this, and I want you to copy the reactions, like exactly how things are said. Where does my mouse keep going?
I don't know where your mouse keeps.
It's right here next to the train.
Oh,
Just
right
like
next to
that. It's too white.
I baked you a pie.
Oh boy, what flavor?
Pie flavor.
I wanted to do a test and just play like this whole video and watch how many people were just going to start quoting this as a I can quote like this whole thing. Okay, let's practice that. Let's do that one. Let's listen one more time, and then I want you guys to try to sound like him on the third one.
I baked you a pie.
Oh boy, what flavor?
Pie flavor.
Pie flavor.
Okay, one more time.
Flavor.
Oh boy, what flavor?
Pie flavor.
They've got a lot of emotion in that, right? He's come to all that. I baked you a pie. The guy's excited. Like, what flavor? And the guy's like, pie flavor. Surprise.
Oh boy, what flavor?
Pie flavor.
Right? See? So if we need in a moment to act pretty aggressively or angry, maybe we could copy the way he delivers that pie flavor. In a world where autism is the majority. I don't know, I'm just making it up. It can be intense to just copy how he did that. Let's try it again. Different one.
How did I get here?
Yes.
There's three things going on in that, right?
How did I get here?
What is that one doing? When Desmond's talking, what emotion is he expressing?
Confusion.
Confusion. Right? And so, if naturally you might go up to somebody and say like, I'm really confused, where am I? I'm lost. That's kind of boring, right? The other person might not understand, oh no, he's really lost, he needs help. So you go up and be like, why am I here? Who am I? Where am I? I'm looking for this other room. I can't find it. We can copy that same vocal pattern to relate that same expression. Let's do it again.
How did I get here?
See, it's awesome. It's super easy when you copy something else. And then maybe at a certain point, once you start to master it, record yourself and see how close you are to that original.
I guess I could do that with Mrs. Doubtfire then.
Yes!
Because I've been lost and that's what we thought.
Oops. Hey, go back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go back.
Yes!
Oh.
Yes, I love Tom Sanders. He is like
Awesome.
my favorite.
This is amazing.
Okay. Let's copy this one. I love this one. This
This one's fantastic. Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Well, we're working ahead.
Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Gee.
What is he conveying?
Sarcasm.
Yeah, he's like, well, the road better work. I sure hope it does. It's a great.
Sarcasm, yeah.
Yeah, if you need help with sarcasm, shoot, just copy that guy. This one's kind of, you might not have seen this one, this one's kind of weird. But he gets really happy, and his facial expressions are a little different too.
Oh yeah, this one's funny.
You actually have the chip reader now?
Oh yeah?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it's not gonna work with that kind of transaction
I need to show you
Both of them, they have such good, like the guy's like, oh please, more sarcasm. It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna work. Like, trust me, I have the new chip. The other guy's like, oh no, he's very polite. No, it's not gonna work.
What?
And then he does a great job of surprise.
Oh yeah?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it's not gonna work with that kind of transaction
What?
It's great. It's a great job of conveying emotion.
Yes!
This one, I can't even come close to copy. This is amazing. Watch his face. Watch the crazy change.
Oh yeah.
I love
Yeah.
You should start.
Support you no matter what.
Okay, so let's watch one more time. Let's be totally silent on this one so we can hear all of his voice inflection.
I can't hear anything.
You should start running.
For president, because I support you no matter what.
How many like, emotions he expresses in like 7 seconds?
You should start running.
For president! I support you no matter what. He like does this cool like eye thing and he's like, ha, and laughs at the end. It's amazing.
I love that man so dang much.
If you need to use that kind of emotion, watch one of these videos. Watch something that you enjoy. Watch a character that you like and copy them. It's the best and easiest way to act for just a short amount of time. Okay, another great way is looking at life like it's a game. We are coming full circle now, talking about games. Yes. Okay, what is this?
That is
an upgrade chart.
Okay, upgrade chart.
Assassin's Creed.
Whatever it is.
Assassin's Creed.
Game of Thrones.
Odyssey.
Okay. What does it do? When you say upgrade chart, what does that mean?
It means that, well, in RPGs, usually there's different attributes that you want to add if you want to add to your character. You can't just go for the top one automatically. You're going to have to work for it by getting the bottom ones, and you slowly work your way up until you are worthy.
Exactly. And for us, like for video games, they've laid it out. We know which one comes first and second and third, but we can take this principle and build upon that in our life. Okay? We'll talk a little bit about that here in a second.
Life is ooh, hey.
What is this one?
Skyrim.
Okay. Pathfinder. That's where you use skills. We can really start to see things in the skills section.
More simple.
Life isn't that.
That's what Thank you. That's my favorite game. I love this game. And it did such a great job of like showing, are you becoming more evil? Are you becoming more light side and wonderful person? Or are you becoming very high looking like that thing?
Which channel was this one?
That's the old
That's Knights of the Republic 2.
Oh, Warframe.
Destiny 2. Sorry, that? Yeah, that is Warframe.
Destiny. Destiny 2.
Yes.
Okay, so we've seen these screens all over the place. We know what these things mean. We know that we have one prerequisite, and then we gain XP, we get to the next one, we gain XP, and we unlock another one. Let's just look at life in the exact same way. There's so many options for us to
That's
model.
what they're called, skill trees.
Skill trees, yeah. Skill trees, feats,
Ability scores. XP bars, the level.
We all know exactly what level we're at in a game or in a campaign.
We're level 6.
And so why can't we take some of these things and put those in our real life? We know these, we understand these. Let's just tweak them to fit us so that we can look at life as, I'm pretty bad at talking to a cashier.
You've got a negative to charisma, why not?
Yeah, so I really got to find some way to overcome that negative to charisma.
ASIs, dude, ASIs.
Okay. We can look at it as like, let me get a feat of improved cashier talking. And then I'll go to greater improved, or what is it, greater cashier talking. The idea works for anything that we need in life. Not to be completely different, not to change who we are, but just to act in a very specific situation. You need to talk to a, like somebody for directions at a new campus that you're visiting or a new place you're visiting.
They're a quest giver.
Huh?
They're a quest giver.
Yeah, and you can just go up and say, okay, in that moment, I need to make good eye contact. I want to make a positive impression. Let me kind of create my little character sheet for how I'm going to handle this interaction.
+1 to charisma there.
Yeah. And then after that, scrap it again. Who cares? You don't need that again. Maybe until you have to talk to somebody else. So what if I don't know how to act in a certain situation?
Balance your stats.
Balance stats. What else? What have we kind of been talking about with this so far?
Act.
What if you don't know how to act? Okay, let me hang on. Okay, done! Hey! Wow, it's really working!
Copy other people?
Copy other people.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. We already have so many examples that we can copy. So then we just need to, I don't know, maybe look at our lives a little bit more like a character sheet. Okay?
5th edition, haha. Yes, I know.
I gotta check the time and how I'm doing on things.
It is 11:55.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much time left?
About 20 minutes. Should I, let me open the door so this can cool us down a little bit. is very hot in here.
Where's you going in that window over there?
Okay.
You guys both like that music a lot.
Yeah, let's do it. This is tailored to me.
Did you know that Beyblade track?
So this might not work super well, okay? This is my attempt, and I would hope that you guys can take something like this and just improve upon it, okay? So this is my created character sheet, but for the real world, okay? Who do you look like now? Your character right now, just regular you. What kind of things do you see? No, sorry, if you want to pass those over. What do your scores, abilities, feats, knowledges, what do those look like? Pass that down.
I don't know, I'm a secret character.
Huh?
I don't know, I'm a secret character.
You're a secret character? So you don't even know your own character sheet? That's amazing.
I always take screenshots of mine.
Okay. The skills are a little bit of a work in progress. You want it?
When you gain different.
Oh, that's the one? Okay, yeah, that's one. This was just my quick attempt at trying to put real life things to the different ability scores. What do you look like? What are your huh? I can't think of the word. What's happening? Oh, I know why. Sorry, I It'll be hot, trust me. It's horrible, I know. What does your life look like? Okay? Only you know what you look like now, and if you can build your character sheet now based off of what you are, you can work to level yourself up in whatever different way you want to. If you look at the little section next to the abilities, that was like try to represent real life things with those scores. Dexterity is obviously kind of a hard one. Like balance, I guess. Like, what's your roll for balance in this real life encounter? Whoa, I gotta make sure I'm not drunk looking, I guess. So I didn't look at it from that standpoint. I looked at it a little bit more from mental stability. What are you able to do? So let's see. So that's what if I don't know what to do. What if I don't know what to say in a certain situation?
Look it up.
Right? Look at that. Every conversation has laid out options for you. And you even have a little choice of which one do you want. Do you want to be emotional here? Do you want to be logical here? Casual? Professional?
Is that fun?
No, Mass Effect. This exists in a video game now, already. Why are we not using something like that more in our real life?
I don't think we can have...
We can't have things in front of us, but we can think up scripts ahead of time. So
I'm
video
always
games,
practicing conversations.
Exactly.
Myself, like, what if?
Yep. And that counts. And for me, anytime I have like an important conversation, ahead of time, I think of what I'm going to say, and then I think of what the other person might say, and then I make a bunch of other things I'm going to say on that. And by the end, in my head, I have this whole tree of conversation, and so when I go into that conversation and have it in real life, I'm already prepared. I've made that Mass Effect thing in my head for the situation that I'm going to fit in. Okay, we're good at playing these games. Why don't we bring that into real life? Why should we keep failing to achieve our goals, acting like robots, pushing people away?
For experience points.
We gain experience points, but only if we're trying to improve along the way. It's a lot harder to gain experience points if we just keep doing the exact same thing over
Yeah,
and
but
over.
if we fail, then we failed while trying.
Exactly, and that's the difference. Don't just fail because you didn't put any effort into it. That sucks. You're not going to get anything accomplished. Fail because you tried, and now you know how to tweak something moving forward. Yeah.
Because most of the time, once you fail something, you can't...
Usually most of the time when you fail,
the least that you can do is try again and see if your chances improve or whatnot. You can't
Hope you
just
have advantage.
Yeah, exactly, have advantage.
Yeah, you
We have
can't.
advantage on the roll.
I go until 12:15, right?
I believe so.
Okay, good.
You can't just do
Just making sure I wasn't like holding
time
people up.
to-
I did a version of this presentation a couple weeks ago. It looks nothing like it does now. In fact, I felt like by the end of it, it was kind of awful. Like I hadn't really met any of the things I was trying to say. And so I used that. I mean, people were like, no, it worked great, yeah. It's cool. But to me, it felt like a failure. So I took that and just improved on it. And now I have this, and I feel like this does a better job of relating.
On an art standard, what you had before could be considered a sketch. However, you've gone and done the physical outline, you've done shading, you've done color, you've done all sorts of things.
Yeah, and now I make it look a little bit more entertaining.
Actually.
And that's just a way for us to take a failure and turn it into something useful. We all have goals and aspirations because we are humans too. The world sees us as robots, sometimes, but we're humans too. And we're very capable of achieving those goals and aspirations if we look at things the right way. Okay? So let's say, here's a goal. Buy groceries. What's going to stand in our way?
Cashier.
Talking to a cashier. Now, a great system around that is never talk to a cashier and only go to self-checkout. There's some stores, and I hate them, that don't have self-checkouts, and it's awful, and I have to kick into my little, like, talking to a cashier mode. That's the feat that I've created for myself, and I have to use that in the moment. So rent an apartment. What's our obstacle?
Landlord.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to win over that landlord. The place that I live in now had 20 or 30 people apply to live there, and I had to stand out from 20 plus people and make a very positive impact on the landlord.
Again,
Yes.
persuasion check, hopefully have advantage.
Exactly. And maybe your natural personality doesn't have that yet.
Maybe you don't have a +3 to charisma.
Right. But
Maybe
for
you have
that moment,
proficiency
you
though.
can practice what someone else has done, how to relate those same emotions, and then you get a
Give
huge
yourself
bonus.
advantage.
Exactly. You get an advantage. You can roll for advantage, or you just, the DM's nice to you and says, yeah, you get plus 17 on the circumstance. It was hard to win over that landlord. There's no way I could keep up my winning over a landlord personality for more than like 15 minutes. It was exhausting.
It's hard to be a bard, man.
It is. It's so hard to be a bard, but it works because I live there. Is that a need? Is that a normal need to have somewhere to live?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a basic survival instinct.
Exactly. Which means it would have been really important for me to put some effort into thinking ahead of time. What character am I going to create for that moment? Get a job. Is that a need?
Yes, again, putting in our bard mode.
Is that hard?
Interview.
Doing well in the interview.
Yes.
Multiclassing wizard / bard into that.
Maybe. That might help. Yeah, wizard, just put everybody to sleep. And afterwards, be like, no, it went well. I don't know what you're talking about.
I want to say the job one depends on the job, because I just had an interview where they were ready to hand me, they offered me the job right away that same day.
Right.
After
Because,
the first time visiting them.
because the personality that you used in that moment was exactly what they wanted.
It was something I was so interested in too, so.
Perfect. And they could see that. So did you need to even change in that moment?
No.
No. And that's amazing. That's perfect. And we find friends that are that same way. We don't have to change ourselves. And that's when you know you found a great fit for you. And that's awesome. And then sometimes if it's not a great fit, we have to put a little bit of effort. What about go on a date?
I know it's
A lot of charisma.
It's not a negative
You gotta impress that person probably, right? Something. You gotta do something so that that person is interested in you, or at least just not creeping them out like a robot. Maybe that's all it takes. Like, oh, that person wasn't creepy. I'll go on a date with them. Whatever the goal is, there's a social obstacle that you can create, either create a whole character sheet for, or look at things from a skill standpoint, a bonus standpoint. What are you going to do in that moment, for that short time, to get that goal accomplished? Look at all the lessons that we get from games. Want to improve? Track each interaction you have and assign it an XP value.
Yes.
In real life. Do that in real life. I don't know what the XP values are. But the more you practice, the more you'll get better at it. Bad at a certain counter, grind to level up.
Yes.
Really bad at talking to a cashier, what are you going to do?
Practice.
Practice. Go talk to cashiers.
Use the chaotic evil mirror to
Exactly. Practice ahead of time, copy somebody else, and then go and talk to a cashier. And then try it again, and again, and again. And pretty soon you're going to be amazing at talking to cashiers. Unsure of how to act? Create a character sheet. Also, kind of goes back to self-awareness. What are you now? Who is your character right now? What are you good at? What things have you already mastered? What things do you need to work on? If you can lay it out in a format that we're used to seeing, we're going to understand ourselves a lot better. Unsure of what to say? Write a script with dialogue options. We saw that in Mass Effect. It's extremely useful, and it's something that I completely rely on. I made a phone call the other day, had the whole script laid out, and like within a minute, she asked a question that was outside of that script. And I'm like, oh no!
Dude.
Like I already planned on answering this in another
players
place.
always deviate from the main story.
I know. And so that's why we have to get really good at creating our script with lots of options, because we don't know what's going to come up. And luckily I knew the topic, so the conversation I was having went okay, but still I was super annoyed at her. I'm like, no, you follow my script.
Angry GM is angry.
If you aren't sure right now of goals that you have or something, or if you have things you do want to aim for, create your own feats, like talk to cashier, improve talk to cashier, and greater talk to cashier. Or conversationalist, improve conversationalist, and married. I don't think that's quite the progression for that. But it could be, I don't know. If you get really good at conversing with people, then, I don't know, maybe there's some marriage. Whatever your goals are, that's the important part. I can't dictate your goals. Your goals could be something super small, like go to the grocery store and not panic. That's hard for me because there's a lot of overwhelm in a grocery store. It could be a big goal like get a job in my dream career. Whatever the case is, that applies for you. Okay, so quick recap. Copy the emotions and expressions of others and make a list of the ones that you've mastered. If you've copied something from a Vine or from a SDF movie a bunch of times and you really got it down, write that down. That's something you've mastered. You don't have to think about that skill anymore. Watch yourself either in a mirror or on video. Act, but only long enough to get what you need. You don't need to change yourself. You and your personality are valuable. It's just a performance. It's just a temporary performance. Write scripts with dialogue options for different conversations and track your XP. I don't know exactly how that would look like for each person, but assign a value. If you really struggle at something, put some XP to every time you go into talking to a cashier. Let's stop being odd robots and start overcoming social obstacles.
Yay.